Oladipo here, okay, on the float step, he's going to make it heavy. All right, now he's going to take the next step with the left leg. All right, this is the dribble step. All right, the decisions that we've been talking about in the beginning of this tape have been off the float step. All right, now he's going to make the decision on the dribble step to shoot, okay, to stop and shoot. We call this an inverted speed stop. All right, it's opposite of the speed stop. Speed stop's inside outside. This is outside inside. Okay, so most inverted speed stops happen when the players make that float step heavy, so they have enough control to get into a inverted speed stop or stop an outside inside. Okay, a lot of coaches don't like this shot because of balance, but it's a shot, especially if your players pocket the ball, and get better with that skill and the skill of reading the game while they pocket the ball. They're going to naturally find themselves making this decision to shoot off the dribble step instead of the float step because the ball is hung on the side and they got more time to process and think. Brandon Ingram here. Front jab, and he's going to go opposite without traveling. Really good footwork. Okay, float step, he's going to make heavy. Look at him reading the game. All right, he knows. We'll hit pause. He knows pretty much on the float step that he was going to, shoot the ball or have a chance to shoot the ball. So on the full stride of this dribble step, all right, the whole entire length of this dribble step, he knew he was going to shoot this shot. Okay, so he's going to go inverted speed stop, which he knew way in advance. All right, so this makes this shot a lot easier. All right, so we'll hit play. There's the inverted speed stop outside inside, and then pretty much this decision was made early. All right, Chris Paul is going to use the pick and roll setup we talked about on the first tape. Okay, now when he gets to the float step, he's going to make that heavy. Okay, now he's going to start to read the game off his dribble step, and he reads it early, all right, that he has space to shoot. So early in the dribble step, he is going to elect to stop and shoot with an inverted speed stop, just like on the previous two clips, all right? These decisions were made early in the dribble step. All right, Kevin Durant here is going to bound laterally, okay, find a good drop position, cross off of it with the drop cross. All right, really good. Okay, now float step, he's going to make heavy. He sees the space in front of him. Okay, now we'll hit pause, just like on the previous clips. All right, he knows right here he's going to shoot pretty much on the full stride of that dribble step. He knew early that he was going to use an inverted speed stop to get a good shot off. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that. There's an inverted speed stop. It's got a lot of space. All right, Zach LaVine here. Okay, on the float step, he has nothing. Okay, now on the dribble step, he sees the space in front of him. You can see his eyes. Okay, he sees that Serge is back and he has enough space. Okay, now when he completes the dribble step, it's on the ground. He's going to make this decision late to skip. Okay, so we call this an inverted skip, okay, into a jump stop shot. Good example. All right, before we start this clip, let's mention that stopping off the dribble step, we've showed already, you can inverted speed stop, to stop and shoot. Okay. You could technically inverted speed stop exchange, okay, like you did with the float step in speed stop exchange. Okay. I don't see the inverted speed stop exchange happening too much in games, and I couldn't find too many examples of it, so therefore I didn't have it on this tape. Okay. We'll keep playing this now going forward. All right. Kawhi Leonard here is going to find a nice drop off skip. Okay. Now on the float step, he has nothing. All right. Now on the dribble step, he is reading late that he's being defended pretty tight, pretty well. Okay. And he's cut off. All right. So he's electing to stop with the drag. Reason why it's called the drag is look at his right foot. It's dragging on the ground. Okay. And we call this an under drag because his dribble move when he drags is underneath. Okay. So he's using an under drag to find a new drop position. He elects to foot exchange, okay, to split his stance and find a really good drop position. Now from here on the next float step, he's reading shot, okay? So he's going to use a speed stop. And now look at him fade. He's fading directly backward, all right, to get a clean look. All right, so again, the skills of fading. The skills of fading backwards, fading to the side, fading diagonally, okay, to avoid the length and size of, really, really good teams, really, really good opponents. All right, great skills to have. Shai here. Okay, partial through and go. Good example of that. Okay, on the float step, he has nothing. Okay, now on the dribble step, we'll hit pause. Look at him read it late. Okay, look at his right foot. Look how it's angled. Okay, he elects to stop. His left foot is back. It's going to be dragging. Okay, so he's going to elect to now on this under drag. You see how his left knee, back foot knee, is pretty close to the ground. Okay, so to feel the sensation that happens in games when you under drag, that lowness that pretty much is required of you based on the pace you're going and how you stop, you're going to kind of get to this stance. So to drill this, I would use rip cones or objects that the player will have. So in this situation, you can have a player driving with their right hand, have the cone with their left hand, that they are holding the cone. Okay, so when they dribble stop, they can place the cone on the ground. By placing the cone on the ground, it holds them accountable to this position right here where they have that certain lowness and their left knee is pretty much close to touching the ground. Okay, so you can recreate that in drill situations, all right, to get their body adjusted to the sensation it would need to have in games. All right, so we'll hit play. It's going to naturally lead into an inverted drop position. He's going to go out of it. Flow step decision, he's going to elect to gather. He's got 2 steps. So there's the 1-step, 2-step accountability. All right, good clip. All right, Levert here on the turn, dribble, and go. Okay, on the float step, he has nothing. The dribble step, all right, you're going to see early on the dribble step, he reads that he wants to stop. All right, so he's going to use an under drag. He plans this out a little bit earlier than the clip before with Shai. All right, so on the under drag, he's going to naturally be in an inverted drop position. He uses an inside dig to go again. Okay, now on the next float step, Levert decides to gather. All right, he takes 2 steps. The last step, he's really good at this. He makes it heavy. He slows down his pace on the last step. Kemba Walker here on the catch is in an immediate drop. All right, on the float step, he's going to read to stop. He does that with the speed stop exchange. There's a little bit more movement than normal on that speed stop exchange. All right, he's going to push a little bit and then find a drop cross. Good drop cross. Now on the float step, he has nothing. Now on the dribble step, he's going to read to drag a little bit before that dribble step hits the ground. All right. Now instead of under dragging, he's going to punch drag where he just punches the ball straight down. All right. And that's going to lead immediately for him into a foot replacement shot. Lillard here is going to find his drop. All right. On the float step, has nothing. On the dribble step, he's going to read it late when that step is on the ground to punch drag the ball. Okay. It's late enough that Lillard also pushes off with his right hand. All right. On the punch drag, he's going to reverse push to separate a little bit and then foot replace for the shot. Shai here is going to skip, find an inverted drop position, push cross. All right, on the float step, he has nothing. On the dribble step, he's going to read it late. This is exactly the same clip as the Lillard clip, the clip before. Okay, he's going to find the punch drag late. He's going to push off with his right hand. He's going to reverse push a little bit and foot replace for a shot. All right, Steph Curry here on the triple threat. He's going to side jab and go opposite. All right, the details of this I'll cover later in a later tape on the post tape. All right, so on the float step, he has nothing. Now on the dribble step, he's making this decision early on the dribble step, all right, that he is going to stop with the punch drag. All right, now we see the punch drag. Okay, now he is going to shoot the shot, all right, without separating. This is the reset shot that we talked about with the drop shots on the first tape. All right, now if he were to separate and push backwards, all right, and slide his front foot back, we call that a slide step, but we'll cover that in another tape, all right, with the escape tape with a bunch of ways to escape and kind of the details within that. But for this particular clip, he's not separating or escaping. All right, he's just resetting his feet backwards to find the pull up with the reset shot. All right, now on to spins. All right, big time skill here. Most spins in games happen on the dribble step. So when we pause it on Steven Adams' dribble step, all right, halfway through his dribble step, right before it's about to hit the ground, he's making that decision to spin. Okay. Most spins happen with a pound dribble that will lead the player momentum wise into the spin. All right. It's usually, outside foot transfers its or shifts its momentum to the inside foot. They'll spin off the inside foot. Most players have issues with their spin momentum wise because they spin with their legs. All right. It's really the momentum is generated from the feet, but it's carried on by the shoulders, the top of the player's body, basically. And they spin, top heavy. And that gives you more of a faster spin. And once you complete your spin, there's awareness of where to place your feet. We call it 2-foot accountability because after the spin, if Steven Adams picks up the ball, if he dribbles the ball, we'll call that a dribble placement, cover that later. But if he picks up the ball early, he's going to have 2 steps after the spin. Okay, and now if you spin top heavy or momentum from the tops of your body, your legs now can be free and you can control them after the spin. Rui Hachimura. All right, this is going to be a great example. At this moment on the dribble step, he's going to decide to spin. All right, he's going to pound dribble and he's going to spin off the pound dribble. Now the momentum you'll see is generated at the feet level, all right, outside to inside, and then it's sustained and kind of carried from the top of the body. You can actually see the top of his shoulders and how he carries that momentum. All right, and then you're going to see him being able to have 2-foot accountability after the spin. This is a great example. All right, same thing with Schroeder here. Okay, so using a front jab and go off the triple threat. All right, he's got nothing on the float step. Now on the dribble step, he's going to know he's going to spin. Okay, to create that energy transfer, he's going to take that pound dribble. All right, energy transfers from the feet. Look at him spin. Keep that spin going with the top. Now 2-foot accountability. First step, second step. With this clip with LeBron, I want you guys to just really look at his 2-foot accountability after the spin. It's really defined here. All right, Levert here, he's going to skip, find a good drop. Now counter with a drop through, a good example of a drop through. Okay, now in the float step, he has nothing. Now halfway through the dribble step, he's going to make a decision to spin. Okay, a pound dribble, energy transfer. Good job spinning with the top or keeping that going with the top. Okay, now 2-foot accountability. All right, we'll pause it right here. Okay, now in the other clips, it's 2-foot accountability for layups. All right, so you can use grip mats again. You can have one grip mat for the first step, finding the circle, and then a second grip mat for the second step, finding the circle. In this situation, you could actually use one grip mat though, because there's these boxes on the grip mats, right? So the first step you can place in one box, and then the second step you can place on a box directly to the side of that first step, okay? And that'll force you to get into a speed stop, all right? Because those boxes are pretty much shoulder length level, all right? So you could use one grip mat for this particular example to spin, have 2-foot accountability into a speed stop fade shot, okay? You could have 2-foot accountability into a fade stop if you want to have a control fade, or 2-foot accountability for layups and have the player find the circles to hold them accountable on that layup. All right, this is going to be a little bit of a different type of spin. I don't really want to cover the loaded step right now. That's going to be in a few clips from now. But the point I want to get across here is after Bazley spins, all right, he's going to dribble place. So if you look at his eyes right now, all right, before the left leg gets down, he's going to end up spinning and placing that ball. If you had a grip mat on the ground, all right, the grip mats have boxes and they have a circle with dots around it. Can you place the ball wherever you want to and find that circle? If you use the grip mat, that skill right there is, if you have that as a player, again, when you spin, you have an advantage. okay? Because you know exactly, you have control. You know exactly where to place that ball, and you're dictating where to place that ball. All right. A lot of players when they spin and they don't have these skills, basically the spin dictates everything. There's no control. All they're doing is changing direction, but they're just going wherever the spin takes them. All right. So Baisley here knows that he's going to place that dribble. All right. So you could see his eyes. He's placing the dribble. Now that left leg, that step is going to be a float step almost. All right. If it happens after the dribble is placed. Okay. A lot of guys, they will place that dribble after they place that left leg down. All right. Whereas Baisley's placing the ball first before placing his left step. All right. So now the advantage of that is now it's treated as a float step. All right. So Baisley's going to place that ball down, and then he's going to gather. All right. Decide to gather on that float step. He's going to have 2 steps, and he's in control with all of those steps. All right. LeBron here finds a good drop. All right, now on the float step, he elects to skip, continues his drive going. That's why the next step is the dribble step. Okay, now he's making a decision to spin with the pound dribble. All right, creates that energy transfer. Good spin, top heavy, hit pause. Okay, now you can see his eyes. He places the dribble wherever he wants to. Okay, now important point, just like the last clip, he establishes a float step by dribble placing first before he steps with his right leg. He can make decisions now on that right foot. Okay, so on that float step now, which is the right foot, he can decide to do many float step options. He can phase stop, he can speed stop, he can skip. All right, he can inverted drag. All right, so he can do all these options. And you can drill that. You could say spin, dribble, place, and then fade stop. Spin, dribble, place, jab. Okay, so here, LeBron's going to skip off it. So let's hit play. He's going to skip into a power stop, okay? I call it a power stop. We'll hit pause just because the ball is on the left hand. All right, so therefore that's outside. The left foot's outside to inside. All right, even though technically it's not because his inside foot is closest to the basket, but since the ball is on the left hand, this is a power stop in my eyes. All right, Derrick Rose, this would be a good intro clip. All right, so uses it on the drive. That's a dribble step, decision, nothing. Float step, decision, nothing. Dribble step, full stride, decision, has nothing. Float step, now he's making a decision to stop with a speed stop exchange. He's going to slightly push backwards into a drop. Okay, finds a really good drop, good pocket. Next step, footwork wise, is float step. Let's hit pause. Okay, now the difference with this spin that's going to happen is he's going to skip into the same exact footwork that we're talking about the previous few clips, okay? So he's going to skip into a dribble spin. More technically, it's a skip into a power stop because it's outside inside spin. Okay, so that's to be more technical. So the spins that we've been talking about are more power stop spins because these players are going outside inside, taking the pound dribble though, that will lead them into a spin. This one, Derrick Rose is skipping into that same exact footwork with the pound dribble and spin. He's skipping into a power stop spin, technically. Okay, so let's hit play. And now he has 2-foot accountability. All right, Anthony Davis here, same thing. Okay, we'll pause it. On the float step, he's going to skip into that dribble spin, okay, or skip into that power stop spin. Let's take a look. The only difference is on the 2-foot accountability here, he's going to gather and take off the first step for the layup, okay? So he doesn't elect to take that second step. All right, Anthony Davis here. All right, he finds a good drop off the skip. Next step will be the float step. He's making the decision to skip into the dribble spin. Okay, great energy transfer. Great continuing that momentum with the top. All right, now 2-foot accountability. He's going to use both steps here. All right, Ingram here It's going to push forward and delay his drop. It's going to end up finding the drop and going. Float step, he has nothing. So we're going to get back to that dribble step decision to spin. Okay, now the difference is here we'll hit pause. He's going to cut his spin in half. So therefore we call it a half spin. Okay, so he's going to half spin. Now, important point on these half spins is to not gather the ball early. So you see how Ingram, he has the ball pocketed on his right side. Okay, so now he's able to read the game on the half spin. Okay, the first option, the first look, since the ball is on the right side, is to go turnaround jump shot over that lead shoulder. Okay, so that would be the right shoulder. All right, so key point again is to not gather the ball early, almost hang that ball on the side, so then you can continue to read the game. You can either put the ball back down for a dribble, or you can go right shoulder turnaround, which he does here, or you can counter back to the other side. All right, you have more options. Ingram here uses a front jab. That front jab allows him to attack out of a draw position. Okay, we're going to cover more jabs in the post tape in the future. All right, on the float step, he has nothing. Now on the dribble step, he elects to spin. All right, so he's going to spin, cut it in half. We call that a half spin. Now this is interesting. All right, now on that left leg, you see that one's on the ground and his right leg is up in the air, is elevated. All right, so we call this a single leg, and he's going to push off of it. So we'll call it a single leg push. Okay, we're going to really hit this in the post tape where it happens a lot on back downs, where you can get some extra separation for your jump hook or for your turnaround jump shot. All right, here Ingram is going to get that extra separation for his turnaround jump shot. Okay, Kawhi Leonard, side jab, he's going to go. He sees an opening. Float step, he has nothing. On the dribble step, he elects to spin, cuts it in half with a half spin. Okay, now here, we'll pause it. Okay, look at the gather, right? There's no gather, actually. Look at the ball hanging in the pocket, right? So that allows Kawhi Leonard to read the game. Okay, so Jeremy Grant, he's going to feel, will take away that lead shoulder, right shoulder turnaround. So he's going to counter the opposite way, right? You can see it pretty clearly right here. All right, Ingram here. Float step has nothing. Dribble step, he spins. Okay, now that's a lot of momentum. He cuts it in half with a half spin. Look at that picture. Okay, in a game, his decisions were a little bit later. All right, and it forced him to be kind of in this uncontrolled state a little bit. And this is where that physical training is so huge. Okay, with flexibility and strength in the right areas. All right, not everybody can go out and bend their ankles and kind of have this sort of footwork like this, and put their body in this sort of position. All right, but he half steps. He gathers it actually early here. Okay, he wants to go left shoulder on the initial. Definitely Royce O'Neal is taking that away. So now the counter is definitely effective over the right shoulder. All right, Jimmy Butler, we're going to freeze it right at this point. 19 minutes and 38 seconds on the timestamp. Okay, let's talk about spin seals. All right, a spin seal is sealing your defender. All right, so that's what Jimmy Butler is doing right here in this position. And then the spin happens on the pound dribble. There's going to be a hand exchange and a foot exchange, and that will create the momentum for the spin. Okay, so the spin seal is sealing your defender and then spinning out of it with a hand exchange and foot exchange. Okay, so I would drill to start on spin seals in this position. Take one dribble on a grip mat and foot exchange, hand exchange, and drive off of it. Okay. Dennis Schroeder here off of a low energy drive. All right. He's going to make a decision to spin seal on the dribble step. On the dribble step, he's going to pound dribble. All right. Then he's going to exchange his feet and exchange his hands to gain momentum for a drive the opposite way. All right. So he's looking middle. He's going to spin seal and drive baseline. All right. All right. Cameron Payne here. Drop pivots to keep his space, finds a drop and goes. Okay, float step, he has nothing. But you can see Mike Conley's playing him tight. Okay, now on the dribble step, he's making a decision to stop. Uses the punch drive. Okay, we'll pause it. Okay, now right here, he's going to go from a punch drag. All right, he's really selling baseline. All right, and he is going to hand exchange with the dribble and foot exchange right after the punch drag to find a spin seal. All right, now on the dribble step, he's not going to make a decision. Okay, so it carries on. Float step, he sees it right there. He wants a speed stop right into a shot. He sees the space and sees the spot. All right, Jason Tatum here cross jabs and goes off a triple threat. Okay, we'll talk more about those triple threat jabs later, future tapes. Okay, dribble step, you can see he's getting cut off, so he punch drags. Okay, we'll pause. Gets cut off the dribble step. He sees it late, punch drags. Okay, gets right into a spin seal. So off the punch drag, just like last clip, he's going to hand exchange and he's going to foot exchange for the spin seal. Okay, Hami Diallo here on the dribble step. All right, this one's going to be different. Instead of pound dribbling and getting into the spin seal that way, he's going to basically pocket the ball and skip. We call it an inverted skip because he's skipping off of his outside foot, his dribble step foot. Okay, so he's going to inverted skip into a spin seal. All right. All right, Kevin Durant here, he's going to bound, skip, he's going to go lateral off a bound, finds a good drop, and then a drop through. Okay, from there, the float step will pause it. He's going to make a decision on this float step to skip right into a spin seal. So you'll see it. The last clip was an inverted skip right into the spin seal, the hand exchange, foot exchange. This one's going to be a float step. He's going to skip right into the hand exchange and foot exchange. And then there's a dribble step right off of it. Float step, he's going to make a decision to probably fade stop. Yep, there it is right there. You can just tell he needs to get that extra controlled fadeaway separation. All right, Devin Booker here. Eventually, he gets to a float step decision. We'll pause it. Okay, right here, he's gonna spin seal like we've been talking about. But just one more point with this game situations. This happens a lot in pick and rolls versus hedge, blitz. Sometimes on a reject where the player, thinks he's gonna come off the screen cleanly, and the player defending him jumps out, with him. So a lot of times in ambush situations, this is where that spin seal happens, almost as a last resort to change direction. All right, so let's take a look. This is going to be a skip to a hand exchange, foot exchange, spin seal. Okay, now coming off of it, dribble step. He's reading the game. He doesn't have anything. Gets to a float step. Nothing there. More of a dribble release right there. Okay, now on the dribble step, look at his eyes. He elects to inverted skip because he needs that extra separation. Finds his spot with a jump stop shot. All right, Jamal Murray skips, finds a good drop. Okay, off the float step. Throughout that step, nothing there. Throughout the dribble step, nothing there. He has his head down because he's driving. Float step, he's got nothing there. Okay, now we'll pause it. Very early on this dribble step, okay, he's reading that Jamal Murray's reading that he's getting cut off. Okay, so he's going to wrap the ball. So all wrapping the ball is to go behind the back while you're on the move. Okay, now you can get into a lot of different footworks. It doesn't happen all the time where that right foot there will hop behind the inside foot, whereas a lot of coaches teach that all the time on the wrap. But sometimes that footwork doesn't really happen. Okay, so I don't necessarily go too hard on that wrap footwork as much. Almost I really try to get the players to wrap in different situations. So this will be early on the dribble step. Remember we talked about early on or late on the float step to make that wrap decision. Your footwork's a little bit different. Okay, some wraps will happen, which we'll cover pretty soon off the loaded step. Okay, or they just happen in different times, and that's how you can kind of get different footwork. Okay, I don't think you can guarantee one footwork on the wrap or right off the wrap. Okay, so let's take a look at the wrap. This happens early off the dribble step. Okay, in terms of that decision making. Okay, so there's the wrap. Okay, now gets to a dribble step decision. Really nothing. Chops his feet, gets to a float step decision, which he wants to gather. And off the first step, he elects to shoot a little bit of a runner. All right, you can't have a wrap section without talking about Ginobili. Okay, so right here off the float step, he has nothing in terms of a decision. Now we'll pause it. On this dribble step, early on the dribble step, he is making the decision to wrap. He's not making the decision because he's being forced to. He's making this decision because really it's his move. He's really practiced this move and wants to get to it. Okay, so this is not a read for him. I would probably want the players to read these things more than have moves or have it be a move. Okay, now, next point is if he were to do the back foot in hopping behind the front foot or his left foot hopping behind his right foot, which a lot of coaches teach for all their wraps, as far in terms of the wrap footwork, he wouldn't be able to get to his patented float step, jab, escape, slide step, which I would call it very technical. Most people call it a wrap to a step back. He wouldn't be able to get to that if he were to hop his back foot behind his front foot. Okay, now that footwork, I'm not saying does not happen. It happens a lot, actually. It happens, on the wrap off the float step. That wrap off the float step that we talked about earlier, you're going to have to naturally hop your back foot behind your front foot. Okay, Curry, it happens a lot with Steph Curry off his partial step. A lot of times he wraps, okay, and then he kind of hops his back foot and behind the front foot. All right, so if we played this, we see Ginobili's wrap, okay, and then we can see his float step. He has a decision now of a float step to get to a jab escape, okay. All right, let's get to the point where that float step happens. All right, left hand dribble. All right, now there's the float step. I'm saying this decision is made early in the float step, okay? That Sabonis will want to gather and swing step. All right, so he gathers here and swings his left leg over and has the ability to take one more step after that. And now you see the dribbles being made, that float step's going, it's striding. Okay, so now on that stride, Mitchell's going to decide to gather with the swing step. All right, there's that gather with the swing step. All right, the decision was made off the float step. He took two steps into a touch floater.